Situationships, we're back at it. So, oftentimes, people are settling too, right? Because they don't want to have a title or a label, yet you do want a title or a label. And it makes perfect sense that the other person doesn't want a title or a label, even though it may hurt you, even though you don't want that. But it makes perfect sense because a situationship is just that. It's somebody that likely doesn't like you the same way you like them, or somebody that clearly has attachment issues, or both of you have attachment issues. The point is, there's a major disconnection here. Because very rarely are two people both willingly participating with the same mindset in a situationship. Tell me I'm lying. For real, tell me I'm lying. Very rarely are y'all both on the same page. Typically, when you look at situationships, there's always one person that clearly likes the other person more, clearly wants something deeper, more committed, which is why they're settling for the situationship. And a lot of us don't want to admit, like, you settled. You know, I definitely settled. And I don't have a problem with admitting that because I'm human. You know, and I'm not on social media to make it seem like I'm just this player ass person who's never been hurt or gone through something that was unpleasant. That's not what I'm here to do. So you have to admit that, you know, and you settled because you knew that you wanted more, but you continued to stick around when you should have left, right? Again, in my opinion, when we're talking about these issues, we need to start being completely transparent and not just talking about what the other person did, but also talking about what we did. Okay, so I settled. Another thing is, in my opinion, another reason why situationships happen is because some people monkey branch from person to person. They don't know how to be single. And I mean single, as in you're not on dating apps, you're not on hookup apps, you're not entertaining anybody. And honestly, you're not sleeping around, you're not having sex with anybody. A lot of people don't know how to do that. All they know how to do is go from person to person, monkey branching, and using sex as a coping mechanism because they're afraid of being alone. And what's funny is these are typically your dismissive avoidant types. These are typically your emotionally unavailable types. These are typically your quote-unquote narcissistic types, which is so odd because when you think about what a dismissive avoidant is, or somebody with an avoidant attachment is, or when you think about what an emotionally unavailable person is, or if you think about what a narcissistic person is, you would think they would be fine with being single and alone, but that's not the case. These are typically the main ones that have to be up under somebody, even though they like to have this stoic, cold demeanor. Meanwhile, they don't know how to be single and be alone. This is why when you in a situation with them, or they in a situation with you, or even if it's mutually agreed that y'all are going to end it, they will be the ones quickly in another relationship, or quickly in another situationship, or quickly back on the dating apps, on the hookup apps, looking for somebody else. And I'm just going to call a thing, looking for their next victim. Okay? Because a lot of y'all don't even realize that the person you're talking to is problematic and toxic. You don't even see it. This is why the situationships end up happening, in my opinion. And my thing is, these are the same types that will sit up and talk about how they love their independence, love being alone, yet they literally go from person to person. Clearly, you don't like your independence that much. Clearly, you don't like being alone that much, when the first thing you did was hop back on an app to try to hook up with somebody. And then, looking back at my experiences, this person was already fresh out of a quote unquote breakup. And I'm saying quote unquote because this person clearly, I'm not gonna say clearly, but when it came to me, they didn't do titles or labels. Well, if you don't do titles or labels, how can you call any of these breakups when you're never in a relationship with them? And let's be real, a situationship is a relationship. It's a relationship that's not defined. That's basically what it is. And that's because in my opinion, you're dealing with people who are immature, have some type of attachment issue, and you may also be immature. You may also be dealing with an attachment issue. But the point is, there's typically something unhealthy going on here. Because there's a big difference, and I know people are not going to agree with me on this one.